Hey guys, and thanks so much for joining me for another week of What's for Dinner. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are not, welcome back. I've got some super delicious recipes for you guys this week, so let's go ahead and get into it. Alright guys, so I'm super excited about this one. This is chicken vegetable tortellini soup. So good. It's a little bit creamy. It's got, I don't know, it hits all the bases for me. It's fabulous. So I've got all my veggies cut up here. You guys have your ingredients on the right hand side as usual. All these veggies obviously are interchangeable, and you don't have to do tortellini. I'm just like obsessed with tortellini. I absolutely love it. So if I can shove it in a recipe, it's there. But yeah, so I'll show you guys how to make this. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all the vegetables besides the spinach and the corn in, and just cook those up before I add in my liquid. Just try to get those translucent with a little bit of color in them. Like I said, you can totally interchange the vegetables. You can also, to make this vegetarian friendly, just omit the chicken and use vegetable broth, and that's like a perfect vegetarian option. Alright, so now that I've got my veggies right where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic. I always add in my garlic last, or when there's already something in the pan, because I'm so nervous about it burning. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, and kind of getting it fragrant in the pan and just, you know, mixing it in with everything else. Alright, so now comes the super important part. If you've been around for a while, you know I'm a scrape the bottom of the pan girl. So definitely go ahead and deglaze with a little bit of whatever broth you're choosing to use. You can even do this with water, and it's still just like so flavorful. I also feel like it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. Do not use a metal utensil when you're doing this. Just use a wooden spoon or a spatula to make sure that you don't scratch the surface of any of your pots. So I filled up my chicken stock carton with some water, and I'm dumping that in there. I filled it all the way up with water so it kind of balances out. It's not too salty. And then I'm waiting for that to come up to a boil, and I'm going to add in my spinach and my corn. And then I'm going to wait for it to come to a boil again, and I'm going to add in my tortellini. So now that I've added the tortellini, I'm going to go ahead and let it cook up, and then once that's all cooked up and they're all floating to the top, I'm going to add in my chicken. So I'm just letting that chicken warm through and come up to temperature with everything else. And then the last thing I have to do is add in some cream. I went ahead and added in a little bit and then a little bit more. I didn't want this to be too light in color, but I did want it to have a little bit of a creamy effect. So I just let that boil for another 10 minutes, and then it was done. This was just unbelievably fabulous, you guys. I was going to serve it with garlic bread. I normally do, but I don't know. I was just tired, and I wanted to get to eating this because it is just so darn good. I really hope you guys try this. I know you're going to love it. Well guys, tonight's meal was so easy that I forgot to press record on my camera for half of it. So I had pork chops with a side salad, some corn on the cob, and some stovetop stuffing. Unfortunately, I did not get barely any film, so I'll just show you guys like the 30 seconds I have of me actually cooking, and I'll show you what the plate looked like at the end. So yeah, like I said, I don't know what happened to me recording, or maybe footage was lost. I have no idea, but this was a super delicious meal. I love stovetop stuffing, so that's why I will literally put it as a side whenever. And so of course I love corn, and we got the pork chops done up there and a side salad, and that was dinner for this night. Alright, so tonight's meal I kind of just made up off the back of my hand, or that's probably not how that goes, the expression, whatever. Either way, I kind of made this up, but it's pretty easy to follow. It's just sausage with veggies on top of mac and cheese. Alright, so now that I've got my veggies and my sausage all chopped up, I'm going to put my sausage in the pan first so that I can get it all nice and browned up. And then after that, I will add in my veggies. And now that everybody's in the pan together, I'm gonna season them up and let them go until the onions and peppers are cooked through. Alright, so now that everything is cooked down, I'm gonna go ahead and add in this crushed garlic. I've got this from Trader Joe's. I used to get it all the time, and then for whatever reason, my Trader Joe's stopped carrying it, which was such a sad day for me when I went in there to go grab my trusty garlic and I couldn't find it, and I was just so sad. But anyways, it's back now, so water under the bridge. But yeah, they're super easy. They're those little cubes that I showed you, and they're frozen, so they easily pop out, and they just, they heat up right away, and it's amazing. The best garlic situation for me, unless I make my own, which I've done before, but this is super convenient. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and you guys, like I say all the time, there's brown there, get it up. So I just put some water in, and I'm scraping up the bottom of the pan and getting all that delicious flavor in. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of Velveeta to this. I don't know how many ounces. I'll put it, of course, when I list my ingredients. I'll put how much I put in there. I'll have to look, but I'm just adding in my Velveeta and letting that melt down a little bit. Then I'm going to add in my 2 cups of milk, and once I've brought that up to a simmer, I'm going to add in my cheese, my shredded cheese. So I'm sure right now you're thinking what I was also thinking, that I probably should have done this in a bigger pan, but there's no time for that. So I brought that up to a simmer again once all the shredded cheese is melted down, and I added in my rotini pasta to that, and I mixed that up. And I know the sauce looks a little bit thin now, but trust me, once it gets all mixed up and sits for like 2-3 minutes, it'll thicken up and be beautiful just like that, you guys. This was so good. You gotta love when you just make something up like that and it just works out so beautifully. I've got some dried parsley on top to make it look even more pretty, and I really enjoyed this meal. Super delicious and super easy. Everything came together. This probably took about 20-25 minutes, so super quick too. So that, of course, ticks all my boxes, so definitely try this out. I think you guys are gonna love it. So for tonight's dinner, I am making a French onion soup, our second soup of the week, and unfortunately my last. But yeah, so I'm making French onion soup, and I'm making a ham and cheese puff pastry. So French onion soup is just so much easier than it looks, and I feel like I see people in restaurants charging like $8 a bowl, and I'm like, what are you even doing? This is not that hard. So I'm going to show you guys super easy way to make it. I have made this on my channel before, but I just, I have a lot of new people here since then, so I wanted to show you guys again because I feel like it can be so intimidating to make something like this, but really it's so simple and easy. It just looks fancy. So basically what I've been doing is I have my Dutch oven, or you can just use a regular pan if you'd like, on about medium heat, medium low. And I just keep twirling around those onions in the bottom of the pan, scraping up the brown with whatever liquid or moisture the onions give off, and just keep letting it go and go and go until they're super brown like that, but not burnt. At this point, I'm gonna add in my seasonings, and I'm gonna swirl it around a little bit more just to get that all cooked in there. And then just before I add the flour, I'm just gonna switch to my spatula, because when I try to do it with a wooden spoon, all the flour ends up sticking to the wooden spoon. So I just switched to a spatula real quick to get the flour all cooked down and mixed in with the onions. This isn't gonna thicken it too much. It's gonna be just enough for a little extra, I guess like body, or a little extra thickness to the soup, but not like a creamy thickness. But yeah, so you'll see I switched back to the wooden spoon because I couldn't scrape up what I wanted to on the bottom of the pot. So when I was adding in my broth, I wanted to be sure I was scraping up all the bits, and so I would have no lumps with the flour or any excess of anything on the bottom of the pan. Also at this point, if you wanted to add in your sugar, this would probably be the best. Sometimes this can get a little bit bitter, the broth, so that's why I added in like an optional like tablespoon of sugar. It should balance it right out. So now that I've added in my beef and chicken broth, I'm going to go ahead and let this come to a boil, and then reduce it to a simmer and let it simmer for about 45 minutes. So I had made this type of thing on my channel before, but it was with crescent rolls, and I just did not know the magic of puff pastry at that time. But you guys are going to see, oh my goodness. I'm probably overselling it, and you guys are going to see it and be like, it's not that great, but I felt like very Martha Stewart-y when this came out of the oven. It looks so awesome, but it's so super easy. Like, it's just, I think it's just so pretty. So don't mind me, I'm like fangirling over puff pastry, but I think you guys are gonna love it. And like I said, it was so super easy, and it was also delicious. So all I've done here is I've cut strips on either side of the puff pastry. I'm kind of trying to keep it as like probably like a ½ inch apart from each other. I didn't measure it, so some of them are not perfectly lined up, but once it bakes, it looks like it was, so no problems, no worries there. And I'm just putting in some cheese and ham that I had. I think I used Havarti, and I used some, I think, Black Forest ham. And it went really well with the soup because this ham was kind of smoky. So it was like a really good like flavor pairing. I really, really like this. So I'm just putting on, ham and cheese. You can put as much or as little as you like. You can pretty much put any meat or cheese, or you can just do cheese if you want to keep this a totally vegetarian meal. You just have to, of course, the broth has to be like vegetable broth, but you could just make this with cheese and it would be super easy. So as you can see, I just made the strips all meet kind of pointing downward, like diagonally together. And I'm going to be sprinkling this with some everything but the bagel seasoning and kind of just trying to push it in there. And that's pretty much all I had to do. And I'll show you guys what it looks like before and after it goes in the oven. Okay, but like, right? Doesn't that look so pretty? I think it looks so nice. And look at that delicious cheese that's like bubbling out there. Oh, this was so good. All right, so I've got my soup in these oven-safe bowls, and I'm going to slice up a couple of pieces of French bread for each of the bowls, and that kind of gives the cheese something to sit on so that it doesn't like melt and then just go directly into the soup bowl. I decided to use provolone cheese because it is a circular like pattern, like a circular shape, so it fits on the top of the bowl better, and I'm using 4 pieces so that there's full coverage. I just put these under the broiler for about 1.5 minutes, and look how delicious they look. Oh my goodness, you guys, these are so good. It's just like the restaurant, and it's super easy to make. Look how beautiful the puff pastry little sandwich thingies are. Or I guess it's like a ham and cheese braid or whatever you want to call it. It was so good. This meal was so delicious. This is definitely one of Josh's favorites. His favorite soup in the world is French onion soup, so I love to be able to make it for him. And the ham and cheese braid is so good. So look at all that delicious cheese. Oh, you guys, I really hope you make this. It is so much easier than you think, and it is so super delicious. Alright, so the last meal I have for you guys is shake and bake Parmesan crusted chicken tenders with some 5 cheese baked ziti that I saw on the welder's wife. Her name is Missy. Her what's for dinner video this last week, and it looked so good, so I was like, I have to make this. And shout out to you, Missy, because it was just as good as it looked. If not, it was like even better. Oh, it was so good. Everybody loved it, so definitely check that out. I'm gonna link her what's for dinner video below. It was like a bang up one. She had so much good stuff in there. So yeah, like I said, that'll be linked below. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I make this. So I did not picture this with the rest of my ingredients. I'm just putting some Italian seasoning in the shake and bake just to give a little bit more flavor. So I'm just following the package instructions, which is basically shaking and baking. So I mean, honestly, like all you do is shake it with the breadcrumbs and bake it at 400 degrees. It says 20 minutes, but I put it for 25, and I think it makes it a little bit extra crispy and turns out really good every time. So I just dropped the pasta in the boiling salted water, cooked that up, drained it, and I'm gonna add it back into this pot here, and I'm gonna add the full jar of the tomato sauce and a full jar of the Alfredo sauce. So once that is thoroughly mixed through, I'm going to go ahead and add in my Parmesan cheese, and then I'm going to mix that up, and I'm going to transfer it to a pan. Alright, so once that's in the pan, I'm going to go ahead and cover it with my shredded cheese. I actually happen to be using a 6 cheese Italian blend, so it's 6 cheese ziti, I guess, instead of 5. But once that was all done, I went ahead and popped it in the oven. So last minute, I decided to make a side salad. I just made a really quick one. I love these little lettuces. They were in my fridge tour, so I'm sure you guys, if you watched that, saw them. I got them from Costco. They're adorable and perfect for like a little like 2 or 3 person side salad. I just went ahead and put in some red pepper and some cucumber, and we used some Italian dressing, and that was it. Alright guys, so this is everything. What I ended up doing was taking my chicken tenders out of the oven and just putting my pasta in. The oven was already at 400, so I just shut the oven off and let the pasta sit in there for like 10 minutes, and it was perfectly fine. It was all melted and delicious, so I just put some dried parsley over the top of that to make it look nice. I have my salad over there to the right that you guys saw me make. This was so well received by my family. Everybody loved it. The pasta was delicious, so thank you again, Missy. Literally just like hit it out of the park with this one. So super delicious. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope I was able to give you guys some dinner inspiration. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are so kind and you're so sweet in the comment section, and I just love you guys. You guys are so great. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope everybody has a blessed and awesome week. If you guys got some inspiration, don't forget to give this a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.